here's one topic I've seen on YouTube quite a bit. Some of these big YouTubers talking about how 1000s are not good on the road, and how they prefer the smaller bikes over the leader bikes or the sport bikes. And for me personally, I think these leader bikes are amazing. And you can actually use them on busy rural streets. And whether you can pull all the horsepower out of them on the rural streets or not isn't the point. I think the point is that you got the power there and you can get yourself out of bad situations quickly. But why wouldn't they like leader bikes on rural streets? I don't know that I've really seen them riding leader bikes amongst big traffic or anything like that. Out on the freeway, yeah, but I mean, seriously, if you know your routes, you can avoid a lot of traffic. There doesn't have to be a ton of traffic. Oh, that guy about sideswiped this blue guy. Anyway, dude, leader bikes in rural streets, on the streets, are just as effective, man, as a small 600, 400, 500, 650, 750, 900. I mean, it's what you prefer to ride, I guess, and what you prefer to handle and how you handle it. I mean, are you looking to race around on these busy streets? I don't think it'd be wise to race on these busy streets. There's really no room for it. I mean, if you want to lane split it, you can do that, but you're not going to be racing. Not even on a 400 or 300, maybe a 250. But even then, you're going to be limited. Anyhow, why don't these big YouTubers, and I'm not saying all of them, there's just certain ones I've seen, and I'm not going to name them, I mean, you can go find them, but they talk about not having leader bikes on the street. You can't pull all the power out of them. People don't have the skill. They don't have the skill to maneuver a 1000 through traffic or pull all the power out. Get all the power out of that 1000 that they can. But I mean, you really don't need to unless you're going to race or unless you're going to be out like on the freeway. And then you got all that power, man, and you can use it. Are you going to be hitting twisties on the straight when you're hauling ass, trying to see if you can hit 180? No. But you definitely going to be, MotoGP goes balls out on straights. But you don't need to go balls out on rural roads. And that's the biggest thing right there. And nothing wrong with running a 1000cc. If you love them, I think they're fucking amazing. I ran a 650 for quite a while, and it was fun. But I'm going to tell you, it doesn't have the balls that a 1000 has, nor does it have the capabilities. Now, I'm sure the 600 sport bikes do, but again, it's preference. Do you want to run a 1000 or do you want to run a 650? Or 300, 250, 500, whatever. It boils down to your preference. And personally, You know, they say, oh, you can't pull all the skill out. I don't necessarily know what they mean by the skill. Like, what kind of skill are you talking about? Are you talking about like MotoGP style skill? Are you talking about straight line skill, quarter mile racing? I'm not sure. But if you have the skill of positioning yourself correctly, position for safety, and get yourself aligned right, well, what kind of skill do you really need other than the skills that you've been taught in motorcycle courses and that you practice constantly? That's really the biggest thing. I mean, what kind of skill does a guy think he needs for a 1000 cc in rural streets? Or, I mean, to me, it's like, if you got skill and you've been riding for a while and you've been maintaining coursework and you've been going and practicing, you got the skill it requires. Are you ever going to be MotoGP level? Only if you practice and train MotoGP level. So in all reality, it makes absolutely no sense to me when they say, oh, I don't want a 1000. To me, it's like, okay, cool, don't get a 1000 then. Get what you're comfortable with. But for me, a 1000, man, that's the way to be. They got power when you need it, on demand, and so do the other small bikes. But what makes a 1000 less funner than a 650? I mean, seriously. These bikes, this is a 1000. The motor's patterned after the R1, detuned, obviously, so it's not like the R1 actual motor, but it is patterned after the R1 motor. And I had my 40 horsepower cruiser 650 V-Star, which was fun, but honestly, this is funner. So I don't know where they come up with that idea that 1000s you can't pull all the power out of them, or you can't have as much fun. That's bullcrap. You can have a lot of fun on these 1000s. You can have a ton of fun on 1000s. You can have a ton of fun on any bike. It just depends. Like, riding that 650, I was having a blast with it as I was learning and constantly practicing and getting ready for the bigger bikes like the 1000s, R1. And I'll tell you right now, just my experience, and I can only speak for myself, I have a lot of fun on this 1000. More fun than I had on the 650 40 horsepower. I mean, these things, they have plenty of torque. They have a lot of horsepower. Now, to the crank and to the rear wheel are two different things, obviously, so most people know that. That applies to a car as well. I have fun on it, see? I got the power to get out of where I want to get out of. Clusters without lane splitting. I can exceed the speed limit by 10 miles an hour legally just for a bit to get ahead of everybody. So there again is a matter of personal preference and experience. I'm going to say it's definitely down to experience, because when you've experienced a slower bike, less powerful bike, and you experience a 1000, it's definitely an eye-opener. But again, to me, guys, my deal is this: you can have as much fun on a 1000 as you can on any other bike. And if people sit there and tell you, oh, you can't pull this, your skill level's too low, man, you ain't running MotoGP, man. Their skill level isn't even at MotoGP level. So either way, it doesn't matter. A MotoGP bike is way different than street bikes anyway. These street bikes are not built like those. But anybody who rides knows that. So really, that 1000 cc isn't as fun on the streets as a 650 or a 500 that you can wrench on the neck. That's not true, man. I personally find that not to be true for me. And I can't say for each individual. Everybody has their own opinion. But my experience riding slow bikes and riding fast bikes, I'll take the fast bikes all day long. And I ain't running MotoGP, so I'm not worried about, can I pull all the power out of it? Can I pull all the power out of it in a straight line? Absolutely. I mean, you can, if you can peg that bike, you can get all the power out of it. Anyhow, that's my 2 cents on that. I just, watching those videos, man, just kind of, how do I say, I don't like using the new term cringe, but I just think that that's their take it on their experience. That's what they find to be what they've acknowledged. They don't like the 1000s on the streets or on the rural roads. They prefer the smaller bikes, which, hey, whatever, man. But to say you can't manipulate these bigger bikes, 1000s, like you can the smaller bikes, I don't. That's just, to me, that's bullshit. Again, I have as much fun on this beast as I did on that 40 horsepower one. And to the rear tire, probably might have been putting a few horses back there, but I mean, I had fun on it. I'm not saying it ain't fun, but I'll tell you what, my 1000s have always been funner. So ultimately, that's my take on it, and I respectfully disagree with those YouTubers that say that. And if you disagree with them, let me know what you think. Do you have more fun on the smaller bike, on the rural streets, or do you have more fun on the leader bikes? Either way, stay vigilant, practice, keep you safer.